we're on a mission to rescue joy in everything you do. I don't want to sound cliche when I say that I haven't worked a day in my life on set. I haven't. That is not work. Work, it's not having a project. Because that's when your mind goes crazy. That's work. People are surprised when I say that I don't believe in hard work. I don't. Every time we do have a challenge, something that's missing, we can make something better out of it. When you really believe that everything is always working out for you, and you trust that no matter what, you're gonna do your best and the best is gonna come out. To me, I mean, life is like riding a motorcycle. If you're afraid, you're gonna fall. If you're too confident, you're gonna fall. If you're alert here and now, it's a beautiful ride.
I want to welcome everybody to a new episode of Coffee, Matcha, and Soul. I'm here with Sara Varchvedian and Zaire Montes, and we have a new guest who's a very special guest for us because he's not only a friend, but he's somebody that we have been working with for a while. I consider him my family, and I hold deep admiration for him and his work. He has more than 4 decades of experience in film and television. He was born in New Jersey, Patterson, New Jersey, but he was raised in Venezuela. He has more than 30 series in different networks such as NBC Universal Telemundo, Lifetime, and more than 14 television movies. This year, he premiered his feature 6 Hours Away, which, by the way, I had the pleasure and the honor to be the star of. Zaire was part of that movie as well. Today we have Nicholas Di Blasi with us. Welcome.
Thank you. Honor, the respect and admiration is mutual for all of you guys. Respect, honored to be here. Thank you very much.
And he went for matcha today, by the way.
Yeah. My first matcha.
So Sarah's feeling...
I'm very happy.
Cheers. It's a tie.
Cheers.
So today I'm just, this is my first matcha.
Although you did ask for a little milk. Okay, I won't hold it against you. But,
Yeah, they call me the matcha killer because it's sacrilegious. I did milk, Splenda, and ice.
And eyes on it.
You know?
But still some matcha on it.
Maybe a little rum just to kill.
Yeah, exactly. Just to kill the germs.
to really make sure it's underground, 6 feet under.
Yeah.
But I bet it doesn't taste like grass. We've been told already.
No. Okay. Actually, I like it. I do like it.
Good.
Well, I can say I met Nico on set about 5 years ago or so.
No, more.
5, 6 years ago.
2017. That means 7 years ago.
7 years ago. 7 years ago. We were doing a show in Miami, and it was one of those things that happened on set. Same thing happened, with you and me. When you well, and obviously with Zaire, I mean, I don't have to explain. There's no explanation needed. No, but when you, it's like finding a mirror soul. Speaking of souls, like, there's an energy, there's something from the creative perspective, but also the human perspective, that makes you connect with somebody else on set. And that was what happened. I remember, the first day we met, we hit it off, and then I would never forget, because I always talk about this, the first time he was directing a scene with me, and we were on a big studio in Miami, and they were getting ready, and he called me, right, on set. This is before the crew arrived, before everybody showed up, and he's like, come. I want to show you what I'm doing. And he got on the dolly. No, he got me on the dolly. He plays the camera. He got me on the dolly. He's like, this is going to be the block, and you're going to be sitting in there, and this and that. He got me on the dolly, and he pushed the dolly, and he's like, can you see? And then we're going to be panning and whatever. And I saw this beautiful energy of a kid, playing games, just being creative, being, completely free, just showing what the game was going to be about. And I can say that it is the same energy that, working on set with him, I keep feeling every day when we're on set. I mean, we just wrapped something. Yeah. You were the DP on that project. And I recall every single day being the same. It's like he has this beautiful energy. It's almost like a kid that, finds freedom in creativity. So in that
we were talking the other night, sitting here, that we're on a mission to rescue joy. Mm-hmm. And that's basically what I think what it's all about. Joy in everything you do, however it turns out. Just detach from the result, just have joy, and eventually, I guess some people will get it, maybe not everyone, but if someone gets it, it's enough.
But is that part of your creative process? Because often when you hear about people talking about how to stay creative, it's about playing and not because. I think that's a huge challenge that any artist face, right? You're doing something for 10, 20 years, and where do you find the joy? Where do you find the play to keep experimenting and rediscovering things, right? You can very easily get into some almost like robotic state at some point, so.
But you see, for me, the set and everything that has to do with the process, it's my playground. So I don't want to sound cliche when I say that I haven't worked a day in my life on set. I haven't. That is the truth. For me, shooting or preparing or even post-production, that is not work. Work, it's not having a project, because that's when your mind goes crazy. That's work. When you're on a project, it's just, to me, it's just fun and games. And people are surprised when I say that I don't believe in hard work. I don't. Because from the outside, it might look like hard work because, we're on set and I'm on set, try to be an hour before, the crew arrives. And maybe we're out of the set an hour after. That might look from the outside like hard work, but it isn't. That's why I don't believe in hard work. I believe in work that is connected to joy.
Did you always have that mindset, or is that something you had to
come
to?
Yeah. To me, just being. It was just like.
So Nico, you're right now a director, but throughout your career, you were a producer. You actually were the producer of Arachnophobia. This one of the producers in Venezuela, because that movie was shot in Venezuela, part of it in our beautiful Amazonas. Mm-hmm. And so you were producer for a lot of time, and you were involved in different areas of the filmmaking industry, not just as a director, which is, I would say, one of the most creative positions in filmmaking. So were you feeling the same way when you were just line producing? Because
No, and I'll be totally honest. And here's the thing: when I was producing, I was executive producer. And the last time I was producing, I was executive producer for a show in Venezuela. And the administrative part, the numbers, the budget, that was really hard to deal with. To the point that there were 2 units. I made up a 3rd unit, and I would go out and shoot stuff and direct stuff because I was really getting bored in the office. Now, here's the interesting thing to me. When I had to take care of the budget, it was a burden. Mm-hmm. But as a director, it's easier for me to be mindful of the budget
now today.
You know what I'm saying? Because there's joy behind it. There's joy trying to find creative ways to solve any issues that might come from lack of budget or being over budget. You know what I'm saying? But when it was my job to do that, it was a burden. So I did not enjoy it as much.
So I was listening to something pretty interesting this morning, and it was this YouTube video, and this woman was saying that she was highlighting the fact what the importance of having joy in what we do, and and she was saying, like, when you have a job that you don't like, supposedly, right? Because not everybody has the fortune of doing what they love, or maybe, which happens a lot, not everybody know what they want, right? So they're in the process of figuring out. She was saying something pretty interesting. She was saying, like, you have to, whatever you are, focus on what you like about that particular job, even if it's not the job that you are excited about it. And that kind of like makes it a decision, right, to enjoy what you do. And I bring it up because you talk a lot about joy and how important joy has been in your life. And I wonder if you were put right now in a different situation or position, like if you would bring that joy to that position, or if you would be like, no, this is not for me, I'm miserable, I have to go back to directing, or like, how is the that evolution of a joy journey in your case, and how does that apply when circumstances are not the way you want them, or they don't put you in the place you want to?
Yeah, actually, funny enough, there was a moment when we had the flowers on Amazon. I may hold a record for having an Amazon show on Amazon and also working at the same time at an Amazon warehouse. And what I did was load these orders that would come in. And to me, it was so much fun to just, go around in a cart, picking up stuff as if I were shopping with no money. And I found the joy in that. And I wasn't miserable at all. I mean, a part of me knew that was temporary, and it was a good experience, by the way. So yeah, going back to that, the moment you find some joy in what you're doing, it'll bring you a little more and a little more and a little more, and eventually you'll go back to full joy in doing what you're doing. I believe that.
How? And the reason why I'm asking you this question is because I've been on set several times with you, right? And we have had wonderful moments on set, but we have also had big challenges on set.
Yeah.
Right? When everything goes well, joy is easy. It's something easy to connect with because everything flows. How do you find joy in darkness when things are not going well, when you're facing, when the shit is hitting the fan, and when you have a lot of challenges, and when you have to, make things happen? How do you connect with joy there?
Well, again, I don't want to sound cliche, but I always focus on blessings in disguise, and I really believe in that. It wasn't always the case. When things didn't go the way, because I tend to plan a lot, and I don't have to assume that everyone will. So sometimes I would get on set, and the things that I was expecting weren't provided, I would get frustrated a lot. But I found out with time that those challenges were blessings in disguise, and that most often than not, it would turn into something better. But now, and I think we all have achieved that together, every time we do have a challenge, something that's missing, we can make something better out of it. It's like we were talking about it the other day, that for instance, not having a location brought out a wonderful solution to an adaptation to what we had. you know?
Yeah.
So I'm you know what it is? It's like when you really believe that everything is always working out for you, and you trust that no matter what, you're gonna do your best and the best is gonna come out. I remember in that movie we did together, one day we got to a location and the person who had the key to the location didn't show up. So there was like this, it wasn't even a door, it was like an indentation of the construction. And you remember you had to like hide and make believe you're going through a door?
That's right.
But that brought us back like 100 feet to a place that had so much depth and better framing because of that. Maybe 10 years ago, or even less, I would say. No, maybe 10 years ago, I would have said, you know, screw this, I'm not shooting this. I would, you know, really get frustrated and ornery. But I that part I've learned. I learned that if you really breathe and just understand that maybe there's a message there, that there's a better solution if you don't, you know, just give in to the chaos, it always turns out.
How did you learn that? What made you learn that? Was it just one event in particular, or
no,
it was a
I think
series?
that it's a combination of things, you know, because it's not like one day you wake up and you say, you know, I'm gonna do something different. It's a combination. It's like, because since our nature is not to do that, you go back home at night after you threw a fit and it's like, shit, I mean, that's not who I am. You know, it's not my, you know, that's not human nature. But then you beat up on yourself and you attract more of that. But then there are certain events that say, you know, you gave your chance not to get mad today. And I think it's reachable goals. It's like, well, if I usually get mad by breakfast, I'll try to make it to brunch. And tomorrow I'll make it to lunch. And by doing that, you give yourself a little more, you start not beating up on yourself so much. So it brings more and more. I heard something very interesting a while back, that there was one of the ingredients that made me go in a different direction. And it said, well, first of all, you always do whatever you can with the tools that you have. You don't wake up every morning saying, I'm going to screw up life for everyone. Nobody does that, right? Yeah. So that's number one. So don't beat up on yourself. If you throw a tantrum because you think you're right, let's say you have the right to be right, but what if everyone else had the right to be right too? So then it's something, okay, so I'm not beating up on myself for throwing a tantrum, and I'm not blaming anybody else because they're right, you know, they have the right to be right too from their perspective.
Right.
So you add that, a little of that, to a little of that, and then you start seeing better results, and it kind of throws you that way, you know. And this, there's no going back, you know. Maybe sometimes you have, you know, a setback, but in general, once you know that route, there's no going back, and I'm glad that, you know, that's that way.
And do you use, let me see how I want to phrase this. Do you practice anything to help you calm your mind, like meditation, or do you do anything externally to help develop this? Because
I do. It's not conventional meditation. Sometimes I just get hooked to a sound. I love biking. I turn biking into meditation. I turn doing dishes into meditation. You know what I'm saying?
You turn
anything
Amazon shopping into meditation.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so anything that keeps you here and now, and again, cliche, but here and now is the only way to go. Because, I mean, life, like anything else, is just being alert. To me, I mean, life is like riding a motorcycle. If you're afraid, you're gonna fall. If you're too confident, you're gonna fall. If you're alert here and now, it's a beautiful ride. You know what I'm saying?
When did you discover that power of here and now? Or what made you connect to the now?
I guess, as I said before, it's not like one day you discover it.
Yeah.
It's a process.
But
it's enjoying.
Did you have anything that made you hit rock bottom in your life personally or in your career? Or like some punches that life gives you that throws you to the floor and then you are like, did you have any of that tweaked your journey?
I had several. And I used to think, because when people they were surprised when somebody said, do you have any regrets? And I said, yeah, all of them. I mean, like half of my choices are regret. Today, thank God, I would do things differently, some things differently. But then again, all those choices made me what I am today. You know, and like we hear every day, I mean, you can't get it wrong because you never get it done, you know? And that's a good thing, you know? But yeah, it's an everyday process. And every morning you wake up and you start from scratch, which is a good thing and also a bad thing, because if you had a great day yesterday, it doesn't mean you're going to wake up today, you're going to carry on. But also, if you had a shitty day, can we say that?
Yeah.
If you had a shitty day, well, you can start from scratch too.
Yeah.
So you start new every single day, which is great.
So you approach life, today's a new day, whatever happened yesterday, and so...
Yeah, there's nothing back there that's of any value to me. None whatsoever.
Oh.
That's so interesting, because I've heard you said that several times, and I heard somebody else saying this kind of same thing today.
Oh, really?
So the past, you don't pay attention to the past. You disregard the past.
I try not to. No, it's not like I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've tried to put regret aside. I don't want to relive anything that it's not joyful, because all I'm gonna do is reactivate that energy, and that vibration is gonna bring me more.
Right.
You know, and like we were saying the other night, and I say this a lot, like we were saying the other night, because this to me is like it's what we do every night, but with cameras.
With cameras.
You know?
Correct.
But we do this every night, and we've been through a lot of this. But and we were talking about it the other day. It's like getting a GPS and just running everything you did in the last 10 years, and let's just reroute it again. Why? Yeah. Why not just set a new address and start from where you are right now?
Well, then, so to give context, so we did have this conversation. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit about when we were talking the other night. You were saying something that you had explored previously, and now you're like, that doesn't. Yeah, that's how the GPS.
So that's right. That's right.
For the audience, we should bring it back.
Yeah, because in this journey, I mean, you go through stuff that maybe you don't feel valid anymore, but somehow you had to. God knows why, live through it. But yeah, I was certified as a rebirther, and rebirthing is based on the fact that since your birth is your first exit into the world, whatever pattern you went through at your birth is something that you will relive anytime that you have an exit in front of you. So for instance, I was born by forceps. I don't think they do that anymore. They get those tools. You too? Yeah. Well, first of all, I cannot wear any cap or anything in my head because apparently there is a cellular memory there.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So people who do that, they're probably forced into things rather than taking the initiative. Like getting out of relationships, you're forced out of them. Getting out of a job, you're forced out of it instead of taking the initiative, just going. People who are premature are the contrary. That's the premise of rebirthing. But and that could be valid. But for me, where it gets tricky is that then you breathe the way supposedly babies do through your mouth, and it's called connected conscious breathing. And that supposedly it's going to activate that cellular memory, and you will re-experience that so you can heal it, which to me is a lot of bullshit now, because why go back there?
Right.
And the premise is, well, if you survived your birth, you can survive your rebirth. So let's go through it, and just, So, because that's the other thing.
But is it a breathing work?
It is a breathing work.
Through the mouth?
Through the mouth. It's very powerful. That I can tell you. I mean, you feel a vibration that it's really powerful, and it's sometimes hard to manage. To the point that you could probably start experiencing some muscular reactions. That's why you have a rebirther next to you, keep you calm. Then there's another level to that, which is doing it underwater, because that brings your memory back to the womb. Which it's gonna sound crazy, but I did see the whole thing. I did.
You did it. You experienced that.
Oh yeah. That you have to go through it to be certified as a rebirther.
Wow. So you had that memory. You did the exercise
you did go
underwater.
Through that, and I saw that texture in front of me.
Wow.
It was really powerful.
Wow.
I don't think it's useful today.
Right.
Why go back there?
Yeah.
But it was very powerful. It really was.
So working with you on set, I really appreciate, aside from the play, I also really appreciate how you just kind of would go with the flow. You wouldn't react. You were just kind of in the zone. And I think, I don't know, I mean, so I studied a little bit about Buddhism and stuff. I feel like you're like a Buddhist, but have you?
So are you. Because
Well,
you're
So are you? Yes.
Yeah, but I studied that, and so like how to stay calm and not react and just be in the moment and all that. So I'm just curious what you've been studying now, or if this is just who you are and you came to it naturally, or is it something else?
Yeah, Buddhism
you
hasn't been in my journey. I think it's just, again, it's just a product of seeing how not struggling and not resisting something gives you a path to a solution. Because we concentrate and, we have movement against this and it gets bigger. A movement against that and it gets bigger. The war against that and it gets bigger because you put your attention to it, I was, a while ago, I went to do something with a trainer in a place like, it wasn't SeaWorld, it was like SeaWorld. So I asked the trainer, how do you train a whale? And he goes, the same way you train any living creature. You just reinforce the positive and you ignore the negative. And that was very powerful to me.
That's a beautiful story.
But I think there, if I may add something to you, I think you have an openness to whatever is out there. Like you were open back in the days to listen about rebirthing and being curious about it, right?
Yes.
But you have also had out of the body experiences that you were telling us the other day.
Yes, correct.
That you were back. So you have your soul has an openness to this woo-woo world when you're very pragmatic at the same time. And I think that has guided you towards human growth and evolution. like for instance, and not everybody is like that, whether it's because of your background. Like for instance, in my case, I grew up Christian, right? So for a minute, I was I was close-minded to certain things. Fortunately, I realized, just as we were talking, because you had a Catholic upbringing as well.
Yeah.
So we realized things were not quite,
Making
black
sense.
or white, or
Yeah.
making sense, or or I rescued the good and I just let go of the rest.
Yeah.
But many people don't have that capacity because if the institution or the society or the religion has made them so square-minded that being open to these experiences is not easy.
Yeah,
right?
True. I remember reading a book by Phil Jackson, who was he was a player for the Knicks, and then he was 6-time champion with the Bulls, and then 5-time champion with the Lakers.
Yeah.
But he was very spiritual, and he came from a very religious family, and he defines himself as a Christian Zen, which is beautiful, because you're open to anything,
Yeah.
and then attached to nothing,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
And I've been curious, and I really respect. I mean, as long as you respect everyone else and you don't go out there just trying to push your agenda.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I respect whatever you want to do.
Right.
As long as you don't harm anyone, do your thing.
So it seems to me like the way you approach life, Nico, as he was saying, it's very Zen. It could be very Zen. It could be very Tao as well.
Yeah,
Like-
I thought that too. when we
Actually,
talked about
what you're
not
talking
fighting.
about is like Taoism.
Yeah.
It's like understanding that you shouldn't be forcing your way
Yes.
into, but just like going with the flow,
Yeah.
navigating with the balance,
Yeah.
right? But you correct me if I'm wrong. But when I met you also in the same show that we were doing, I met a lot of actors that worked with you in the past.
Yes.
And you had the infamous fame
Yes, I did.
of
I
being
did. And rightfully
not
so.
the way you are today,
And rightfully so.
right?
Yes, yes.
Like everybody was afraid of you. Everybody was afraid of you as a director, and when he gets mad, you gotta run, and
Wow.
like you don't want to be around him.
I can't
Yeah.
imagine.
And you can't imagine that, Nico,
can't
right? I
imagine.
can't
Yeah.
imagine that, Nico, today. Although I have seen Nico being frustrated a couple of times, and I've seen, a glimpse of that kind of
Yes,
thing. But from
Like a recovering alcoholic.
right, if you see that Nico in retrospect, what had changed in terms of not just rational knowledge, but also a spiritual knowledge, if you want to call it that way? What kind of discoveries have you made through your life? And how do you make? How do you come to those conclusions?
Well, there's one thing you just mentioned about that experience, that out of body experience. In general, what I found is that being in the mix of the chaos, I mean, you can't solve a problem if you're at the same level of energy of the problem. You have to be either up here or down here, but you have, in order to find the solution. So I found that if I started seeing the big picture, like the wide angle, and be detached from it in general, I would see that guy and say, I feel for him, because he's got to be in a lot of pain by doing that. And that doesn't mean you're above, but you do start getting that. That I don't know if you guys are familiar with football, but offensive coordinator. I mean, the coach is down by the field.
Yeah.
Offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators, they're up there.
I didn't know.
They're never at field level. You have to see it from above. Otherwise, you won't be able to really find solutions and tell the guys through that headphone, guys, I mean, you're loading the box, or whatever the case may be. And it was interesting. I've always loved sports, but I've always been an spectator, like up here. And I remember one time I was working in Venezuela for RCTV, and I had a special pass to go to a game and be, with the players. And the moment I was down there, I couldn't understand anything that was going on, because I was so for me it was so easy seeing it up there. It's like, why didn't you pass it to that extent? The guy was open, and you're down here. You can't figure it out.
It's just chaos. You don't have perspective.
You can't figure it out. So somehow you have to start, looking. And again, you're not above anyone. You're just trying to detach, and be part of the solution and not part of the problem.
Do you want to share with us that out of the body experience that you had?
Not long ago, my son is 10 years old and he loves acting. And I went with him. He was doing a commercial. He was in a commercial, and he said, Dad, when I'm acting, I'm in a zone. I don't feel tired. I don't feel thirsty. I'm not hungry. All I need is to be there, right?
Wow.
And I related to that because acting for me was so much fun. The part about acting that I hated was waiting around. But being on set, it was so much fun. It was that joy that, you're connected to source. So I was acting, I was doing a scene, and for a moment I saw myself from above. And I was familiar with the studio because I was already a director as well. But I kept seeing myself moving around. And I was like, I was really shocked by it.
So this is happening in the middle of the scene?
Like I'm talking to you now, and I can see this from up here.
Wow.
It was the angle from, we were doing this, and it was from up there. But since I was a director, I was privy to everything that went on. So I went up where the lighting...
after the scene,
after everybody.
Like in the car for lunch or something.
Yeah. Actually, it was. So I went up, and I saw the angle. It was exactly what I saw. So somehow I ended up there. There was a part of me that was connected up here and saw the whole thing happening.
And also, funny enough, you told me that, because I asked him once, when did you realize that you wanted to transition from acting into directing? And you mentioned that experience.
I did, yeah. It kind of threw me off a bit. Yeah, wow. I didn't know how to handle it, and I didn't know anyone who would probably guide me through that.
What do you think that experience was, or what was it for you? That out-of-body experience, like, is it, you had used the word connecting to the source or the source.
Yeah, because I really do believe that if we believe that we're vibrational beings, and there's a part of us that is connected to that vibrational source, I don't know, maybe that source is the offensive and the defensive coordinator, that part of us, and then we're just down here in this human experience. But if we wanted to, and if we could control it, we could probably connect up there, offensive and defensive coordinator, and see the whole thing. But I guess it's too much to handle sometimes.
I was just to go off that. So I was just reading a super fascinating article on a theory about like consciousness, and if consciousness is occurring on a quantum level. Right now it's a scientific paper that was published, and the theory is like the universe may have a consciousness, and the consciousness that we have may also occur on a quantum level, which means if consciousness is quantum, then we could be connecting to this other consciousness.
Well, not long ago we were working on that do you remember the project we're working on that apparently some frequencies and sounds, I think it was 7 hertz.
Yeah.
It would induce out-of-body experiences, and the CIA was working on that.
Actually, the CIA was working on that for a while. I mean, they released a few years ago classified files where they were training spies, you know, in out-of-the-body experiences, and how to call it, telepathy and many other sorts to anticipate what was going to happen during the Cold War.
Yeah.
So, and it's so funny that you're talking about that, because this morning I was studying I forgot his name, but he's a scientist from France, and he's retaking Einstein's theory of everything, the theory of everything, which is pretty much trying to encompass the gravitational theory and the quantum field.
I think I heard about this.
And it's amazing. Pretty much what he's saying is that everything is fundamental. And he was talking about, like, when you strip energy from everything, let's say there's, let's remove everybody from here, let's get rid of the cameras, there is no energy. Still, in that empty space-time, there is energy.
Wow. Even in void, there's still going to be some sort of energy.
In void, there is
something.
energy. I mean, there is, and it's called something like ground zero or something like that. So, pretty much, there is something else. The new discoveries of physics discovered also dark matter. Like, even in the absence of matter, there's this thing called dark matter in the universe, and it's expanding all the time. So what is that thing that we connect to, that source, that consciousness that's fundamental? I don't know, but how do you feel when you're connected to source?
I don't know, like Michael Jordan used to say that I know that I'm in the zone because everybody else seems like they're going in slow motion and I'm going full speed. That's not how I feel, but the zone to me is recognizing the perfection of the moment. When you do that scene and the lighting is just right and you hit your mark, not only for the camera, but you hit that subtle, connection to acting, and everything comes together. That is it.
That's
you're
right. There's
so just recognizing, I get the chills, I really do, because when you feel that everything comes together, you say, well, there's something more than every part. Not, and it's not even the whole of every part. It's this empty space between the parts. Like, I really believe that music is that gap between notes. I really do. That silence, that's why when you talked about empty space, I really recognize that, because I truly believe that.
What is the soul to you?
What is the soul? That's why I'm laughing, because you said the other day that since I heard it, I was gonna have an answer, and I didn't. I forgot all about it. It caught me off guard totally. I think the soul is that empty space, which is the glue that connects everything else.
Wait, say that again one more time.
Empty space.
It's the empty space, which is the glue that connects everything else.
So in that regard, you mentioned the soul is the space in between everything that glue everything together. So in that regard, you see, like, the soul does not belong to one, it's not individual, it's collective, right? It's that something that connects everything.
Sure, yes. Absolutely.
That's the way you see it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
But do you feel that there is, like, what makes Nico's soul unique in that regard? Is it still connected to the rest of the souls, but there is some features that makes Nico's soul just Nico? Does that make sense to you?
It does, and I think that probably it's the pureness of the soul that does not depend or even care about the rest, but it's gonna connect anyway. You know, that's the unique part. I truly believe that, yeah, there is that connection. There's an inner connection and an outer connection. You know what I'm saying? And in that regard, I think that the more you connect to your, again, source, your soul is contributing more to that and not needing to get or drain from the rest, you know?
So, I don't know if this translates into what you're saying, but two images come to me in that regard. Like, I think about an orchestra.
Yeah.
With different musicians are playing their part and they
Yes.
create a whole. And I'm thinking about what you do, which is filmmaking, which is sort of the same thing. Like, too many different parts work on on creating one thing. So it's like the project is the soul, and everybody, give it something to create that.
Yes.
That soul, right? So and it works like an orchestra. Is that how you see the?
Yes, absolutely. And I think it was, I'm gonna guess here, but I think it was Aristotle who said, "Don't die with your music still in you." So that part of you that you've come to share. Your music, if you find a way to play it, it'll play regardless of the rest, because now that you talked about an orchestra, I'll play my music and it'll connect to you. It's up to you whether you that you want to be part of it or not, you know? So, and I truly believe that.
That's great.
And I think that's what we're, day by day, we're doing. Because we don't want to die with our music still in us, and there's a lot of music to play.
Wow, it's so interesting, because also going back to physics, right? The string theory is all about resonating or resonance with energy and waves, and it's almost like music. Actually, there's some comparison between what I think it was Pythagoras, right? Back in past, he was given an explanation to reality and to matter through music, just as you were saying, and he was saying that music is like the arp when you're making sound, and then it moves like this, and the waves keep moving, and then if that finds some resonance, or if that gravitates towards something else, then there's an encounter, right? And those waves, face together, So it's so interesting,
And back to what you were saying. I mean, I'll play my music, and maybe it has harmony and rhythm, but if it encounters yours, it'll be even better. You don't need me, because you also have your harmony, but together it's getting even better. And then you come in, and then you come in, and we create, I guess, what we're creating. And I truly believe that.
in that regard, do you feel that every single project that you start working on as a director, let's say, because the director is also like the conductor, right?
Yeah.
In the orchestra, right? Do you feel that every project has a soul?
Wow, now that you mention it, yeah. And now that you mentioned that the orchestra director, I did take a seminar once. I know nothing about music.
Oh, wow.
Nothing. I mean, I used to play the trumpet back in, but it was, I mean, I don't read music, it was just by ear.
Yeah.
But I did. So, I don't know why, I just wanted to be there. And I learned so much about directing by being there. For instance, this guy was brilliant, the guy who was conducting this seminar. And he would tell people, don't signal the trumpet to come in. Invite the trumpet to come in.
Wow.
That kind of thing. I mean, those were gems for me. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
There's a difference. So going back to one of those first questions that you made, it's like, that's even a little part of that. It's like, well, why just tell people what to do? Why don't just invite them somehow, And it makes a big difference.
It does.
Well, that's fascinating, because I feel like that's what you were doing recently on this project, right? I don't think you were telling anyone. You were just like,
yeah. Come join the joy. Yes.
Yeah. How do you define? You have been talking about harmony, right? And now that we continue with the music idea, what is the opposite of harmony? Chaos?
Yeah, but again, it's the absence of. I mean, I don't think chaos. I wouldn't give chaos its own power.
So it's the absence of harmony.
Yes, it's like
the opposite of harmony.
And also going back to what we listen to every morning, there's no switch that creates darkness. It's just the absence of light.
Right.
Darkness it's not a real source. It's just it's just not connecting to brightness.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So there's no evil, there's no devil. It doesn't exist. It's just the absence of you. You're either connected or you're not. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So in the same way, I wouldn't give chaos power by itself. It's just the absence of someone, being connected.
Because even in chaos, there could be harmony in chaos.
Yes.
You can have a very harmonic chaos or chaotic harmony as well.
Yes, of course. And that's going back to what we said. Just trying to find the, the blessings and disguise behind that chaos. But not giving chaos the power of being an entity by itself, because it's not.
Yeah.
amazing. This was wonderful. Nick, do you want to tell us and the audience a little bit about what you have going for you next, what you're working on, what you're super excited about?
Well, I'm super excited about, I hope the same thing you guys are excited about, which is Coco and Eddie. Mm-hmm. It's coming soon. And it's something that I found, I didn't know we could have that connection to comedy. Because we had fun making action movies because it's so much fun, But
yeah, you were telling me that this is the first time
this
working
is the
comedy.
actual.
Oh.
This is the first time I do a comedy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You're so funny. I thought.
No, I've never had the chance before.
Wow.
So it's been a blessing, and we had fun. I hope the people watching it have as much fun as we had, but because I did, and I know we did. So I'm very excited about that coming in 2025.
2025. Cool.
Just out of curiosity, how did you approach doing something different? I mean, if you've come from this action world and then to do a comedy first time, did you do anything to prepare yourself for the process, or you were just...
Not really. The process was just this. Preparation is always the same, and again, don't want to sound cliche, but when you really let projects talk to you, and you don't want to impose, whatever your vision is. When Michelangelo was sculpting the David, it took him 2 years to find the block, 2 more years to sand it down, 2 more years to sculpt it, and 2 years to find, sand it down. And somebody said, "How do you make the David?" And he said, "I didn't make the David. I just took whatever was in the David around them. The David was inside the rock, And I really believe the projects have their soul, and you just have to connect to them, and not think that you have to impose your vision of a project,
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about 6 Hours Away as well? Because
Yes.
it keeps premiering in different countries.
Yeah, I mean, it's the gift that keeps on giving. There's every day we get a call saying there's a new country that is interested in it. I think of 6 Hours, and I think it's just an honest project.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't have the budget of huge movies, but we have the passion and dedication of a huge movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think people identify that. And we gave it our soul. I mean, Guille, Zaire, that were there. I mean, they gave it all. And
Sure.
it was great because, again, I got a call from Guille saying, what are you doing? We're thinking about doing this. And he wrote it like they wrote it in like what?
Wow.
6 weeks or something, less than that.
Yeah.
And then a month later we were shooting.
Amazing.
And that's how, and when things do start flowing from the beginning, that it's gotta work somehow. And it was a great experience. It was a great experience because, again, some events may have looked like chaos, and at the end we found a way out of it. And it was challenging in many ways because it was a first experience for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But we invited them, like you invite the trumpet. It's like, come join us and let's have fun. And that's what we did.
Amazing.
Awesome.
One last question.
Yes.
If you were making a movie of your life today,
Mm-hmm.
in retrospect,
Mm-hmm.
I know that we don't want to look into the past, but with everything you have experienced,
Mm-hmm.
everything you have sensed up to this day, what would the title be for that movie? Of Nico Di Blasi today, what is the title?
Blessed, even if you didn't know it.
Wow.
That's great.
Yes.
Awesome. This was great.
Great.
Thank you for taking
Great.
time, Nick.
Thank you
This
so
was-
much.
yeah, this
Thank
was
you guys
awesome.
for having
Thank
me.
you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cut the mics and picture.
All
That was
right.
great.
It was fun.